individual, responding to the individual questions. But you put him in front of 10 or 15,000 people, and the man is electrified. He looks at everyone in that crowd. It's the same way he is in a church. If you've ever seen him do any kind of sermon in a church, he is in touch with every person in that crowd, and his whole body vibrates in response to them.
I thought that was interesting. There's several clips I've got. If we have time, we're not going to go much longer, but it was a fascinating. I could listen to that guy talk for 2 hours. It's a 40-minute segment in that show from March 15, 2023. I'm going to go to Han. Fed up, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just you've got this very smaller group of people, and I think Trump's in the definite upper echelon of those, if not definitely the top, that are just, they are wired so different. And they are so tenacious and so not going to stop no matter what happens to them. You know, in journalism, Laura Logan, I think, is the prime example. I mean, if you know what was done to her in Egypt, I believe it was, and it wasn't that long after that, she was going and embedding with cartels in Mexico. I mean, you know, they're just wired so different. And it's just, and it's not, as much as people want to say it is, it's not about them. You know, it's like Trump is doing all of this not because of him, but because he wants to make America great again. You know, he talks about it all the time. It's for us. You know, you got somebody like Laura Logan. It's just he wants to expose the truth. You know, it has nothing to do with anything but bringing truth. And it's like, if they're going to cancel her, she doesn't care. She'll find somewhere else to, you know, bring her stories, you know, those type of things. And I so admire the folks that are like that. I was just watching the memorial. They were showing the memorial for Jamie White, the reporter that was murdered at InfoWars, and that was something they were saying about him is just, you know, and coming from that group of guys, you know, it was just like they were like, he just didn't stop. He was just that type of person, was just focused on getting out stories, getting out the truth, and he just didn't care, you know, type of thing. I mean, as far as, but just doing that type of thing. And it was the word tenacious. That's what caught me. It was like, and that's the thing that's just different in these people that, and Trump, like I said, was, like you said, everything that's been thrown at him, I'd say he's definitely at the top of that that list, and several of the people in his administration are that way as well. Look at what Cash said about him. I mean, he had to move his whole family because of death threats, you know, those type of things. But where's he at? Right at the head of the FBI to take care of business.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I don't know about you, Fed Up. And another part of that interview with Dr. Sheldon Roth, I'm going to play this clip for you. It's only about 1 minute and 20 seconds, but he was talking about Donald Trump's childhood. Now, keep in mind, Sheldon Roth, 86 years old, a New Yorker. He was in the borough next to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's 77, so he's younger. Never analyzed him, but he's analyzed him from afar. He couldn't have written the book if he had actually had him as a patient. Listen to this if you're ever wondering why Donald Trump connects to us, the people.
What they forget is from his earliest childhood, practically from the time he could walk. Fred Sr. would bring Donald to all his work projects. And like Donald Trump, Fred Sr. was a hands-on man. He looked at every screw, every nail, every board. He knew every worker's name who was working on a building. And Trump learned every single trade: plastering, plumbing, electricity. He worked with his father on weekends. He managed a housing complex in Cincinnati, sold it at a great profit. He knew everyone who lived there. And then he worked with his father in Brooklyn and Queens until he was age 27. He knew every trade. He worked with the workers, and he picked up his father's habits of being absolutely meticulous. It's one of the difficulties he has as president. He's got his nose in everybody's business. He wants to know every single thing and every single detail. At the Trump organization, he signed every single check. And finally it became overwhelming. He stopped signing the checks one year, And you know that profits went down 8%.
And Dr. Roth went on to say right after that Donald Trump went back to signing the checks after the profits went down 8%. But I found Dr. Roth just really incredible. And there's one other thing I want to play from that interview, because I went back and listened to it this morning when I was preparing for Monday night's show, and is his faith. Because I have seen a difference in him. And Mike talked about it earlier too. He seems much more relaxed as a president now than he did 8 years ago. And I think that July 13th changed him in faith, but a seed was planted in him at a very, very early age. And I don't think people know this about Donald Trump. Listen to this one.
What they forget, or what they don't know, is from his earliest childhood, practically from the time they could walk. Fred Sr. would bring Donald to all his work projects. And like Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, wrong one. I apologize for that. Let's try this one.
When you started this interchange between us with a prayer, I thought, wow, this is somehow on the right wavelength. That is Donald Trump. And as you know,
just really for some context, everybody that comes on my show, before I do an interview, I ask the detractors came after him at that point.
Well, they can, but all they have to do is look to the history. And he has a very deep, long history. This is way before politics. He started attending that church, as a child. And then through his adult life, up until the death of Peel. Peel lived about 90 or so. And then he continued going to that same church, which by the time he built Trump Tower became a walk down the block. And in those days, he could walk down the block.
I think it's funny, Dr. Roth, sometimes that people think that Christians should be perfect in life. And as a Christian, we know that we're Christians because we are imperfect. And I think it's odd that so many people, detractors of Donald Trump, would go after him and his Christianity and his faith.
Definitely. I mean, it's the one thing I do in my book. I've written a book. I try and be free of jargon, and I present him as a human being, because people will understand the psychological soundness of his nature if they can understand it in terms of everyday facts of living, which have to do with love and work. Those are the two big foci of his life. And of course, all pastors would be out of business if all Christians were perfect.
That's true.
That profession and those churches would have been gone long ago.
Yeah. Anyway, that's I have a few more, but I won't play anymore. Does anyone else have anything else before I close down this space? If not, we're going to go. Mike, thank you for coming in. The portion that we recorded, which ended about an hour ago, it will be on the show Tuesday night. And tomorrow night, I have that segment that I put together with Dr. Sheldon Roth there in that interview. Just curious. I'm just considering what makes Donald Trump tick, what makes him keep going and keep fighting, because I couldn't, and I know most people couldn't, but he does. And it was a fascinating interview. And again, if you go to the archives, you can find that March 15th, 2023. You would go to AmericaOutloud.news. You would go to hosts and authors to find that one. and go to Booker Scott. I'm right next to Tony Schaefer in the list of authors and hosts there at AmericaOutloud.news. And you can scroll back through there and you can see interviews with J6ers and everything else. AmericaOutloud.news. If you don't know, we've been around for about 9 years. It is the home of Dr. Peter McCullough's show, Dr. Harvey Risch. I mentioned Tony Schaefer. Trevor Loudon has a show there. Dr. Mary Talley Baldwin is there. FBI whistleblower Nate Kane has a show there. 365 days a year. It is talk radio, a lot of medicine, a lot of politics, and a lot of culture and society. That's what we deal with, and a lot of great articles. Go there, subscribe to it if you could. The name of my show is The Truth Be Told with Booker Scott, and it is Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Pacific, and it's 5 days a week. So I appreciate each and every one of you coming in here tonight, and please go check out AmericaOutloud.news and that interview with Dr. Sheldon Roth there a couple of years. You can hear my interview with Juanita Broderick. You can hear which, by the way, was the last podcast she was ever on. She told me about 6 months ago. It's never been on another one, and who knows? Maybe it's the last one that she will ever be on. But Julie Kelly, J6ers from prison, Michael John. Thank you, Mike. And
Booker?
Ultra's got her hand up. Yeah, I see you. I'm coming to you. Simmer.
I'm sorry.
Ultra has been my co-host, but for those of you that weren't here at the beginning, I kept trying to make her co-host and it didn't work. So she is the co-host there. And go ahead, Ultra. I'm sorry.
Did you just tell me to simmer?
Yeah, that's better than anything
I
else.
know you didn't.
I didn't say calm down. I did just calm down. You never tell a woman to calm down.
Yeah, you don't ever want to do that. No, I just wanted to thank you for letting me be co-host and, well, attempted co-host. But I did want to share with y'all who may not have seen it. I don't know who all in here follows Beard Vet. He is amazing, and he was swatted today. So I'm just sharing that before we go. So you might want to check out his page, his account. But they're all safe, they're all fine. But just to let you know how serious this is, apparently they have no idea that, or no attempt to stop swatting y'all. So, but anyway, God bless you all,
Thank you.
Mike, you and your wife. You're in my prayers, my thoughts. And Booker, thanks again, buddy, for having this awesome space. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ultra, for co-hosting, and I appreciate it. Mike's my old space partner. We started doing spaces at the end of 2021, and we both got busy with other things in our lives. And of course, we went for a while. I think we went to the beginning of 2023. And then Mike ran for office and won. Great story. I started SaviorRepublic.org to find poll workers across the country, and then started doing the show, which now is over 370 shows, and it is top 1% podcast in the world of 5 million of them. So thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to shut it down now and try to edit this and get it ready for Tuesday night. Have a great night.